Turning things to more of a serious nature now, we're joined live this morning by Dr. F. Sessions Cole from St. Louis Children's Hospital. We're talking about congenital diaphragmatic hernia, or CDH. Good morning, doctor, and thanks so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about...
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. What is CDH exactly?
CDH is a birth defect that occurs about every 2,000 babies and occurs because the muscle between the lung and the abdomen, or the intestines, doesn't develop properly during the pregnancy. Consequently, the lung on the side where the muscle does not develop becomes very small and doesn't develop, and so these babies develop very severe breathing problems immediately after birth.
And is there any way to prevent this?
Right now, we are not sure how to prevent it because we're not sure about what the precise cause of the problem is. However, we are making good progress at trying to figure out whether there are problems with gene codes in different babies that might account for the problem and help us learn how to diagnose and prevent the problem.
And a lot of that research going on then there at St. Louis Children's, correct?
That's correct. We're very fortunate to be supported by families like Caden's mom and dad and all their friends and relatives and supporters who are really helping us to leverage the important new techniques and technologies that we have to try to understand CDH.
Good. How can you treat this?
Right now, we treat this by trying to substitute a heart-lung machine for the lung that didn't grow during the pregnancy in the baby. And while this is successful in about half the number of cases, it's clearly not a good answer for babies with this particular problem. And so consequently, many of the babies, about half of the babies who have this problem, despite all of the support and heart-lung machine and medicines, still pass away.
Wow, and it unfortunately has a high fatality rate. How important is this to get in utero? Can you test for this before the baby's born, or is this something that after the baby's delivered you find out?
We have now good techniques using ultrasound to be able to diagnose this problem before the baby's born, and that helps us, that advance notice helps us get prepared so that the baby can be delivered and the mom can be delivered in a place where there's a full complement of resources and personnel necessary to take care of these kinds of babies.
Good. All right. Doctor, we appreciate your time again this morning and enlightening us on a very important issue of CDH. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, the doctor mentioned Caden's family. It's Caden Frericks. His mom, Tiffany, is in studio this morning talking about her son's battle with CDH, and Tegan is live with her now.
That's right. I'm joined with Tiffany Frericks. She's a friend of mine, and she also had a son, Caden, who was born with CDH. Now, you guys were fortunate that you were able to find out before you gave birth. Tell us a little bit about your journey and Caden.
Oh gosh. Well, we started the journey, I guess you could say, started at 23 weeks. When I was 23 weeks pregnant, we went in for the routine ultrasound and wanted to find out the sex. Well, we didn't want to find out the sex, but I kind of did. But instead of getting that happy news, we instead were pulled aside and told that something was wrong with the baby, that his stomach was above the diaphragm, and that he would need surgery after he was born, and that is all we were told. So there was a subsequent lots of visits to St. Louis Children's Hospital after that, and it was a very, very scary time because you're just told that your baby's either going to do well or they're not, and you just have no idea what to expect, and they can't tell you anything, and I think that's the most frustrating part. Absolutely. And it was also very frustrating because I had to educate my nurses in some cases.
Here locally?
Yes, here locally. There was one case where I went into early labor, and I had to tell 2 of the 3 nurses what CDH was, and that's very not comforting, I guess you could say. Yes, it is very frustrating. So it was a waiting game, and it was a very horrible waiting game, and I remember being pregnant with him and just, touching my belly and just wishing that he could stay there forever.
Absolutely.
Because I knew he was safe, because I knew once he came out that he would have to would have to fight like that. And I didn't want that.
And you were fortunate to able to have him at St. Louis Children's Hospital.
We were very fortunate to know ahead of time. Had we not known, we would have delivered at St. Louis or in Quincy, and what would have happened is they would have probably bagged him right away because of the breathing problems, and then that would have killed him immediately. So we were fortunate that we were in St. Louis, and you know, we delivered, and there were, golly, I can't remember how many doctors around, and they were able to keep him alive there in the delivery room, and then they whisked him away to the NICU right away. I was able to barely touch him before they took him away, and that's what you do with these babies. You can't touch them, because the one time I made the mistake of touching him, it made all his stats, his oxygen drop and go down, and it's they're very fragile at this state. You just dark room, you don't touch them, you just sit in the corner, and you can't wait to hold them, you can't wait to touch them, but you can't, and it's very difficult until they put him on the ECMO machine. Then you're able to touch them.
Sure. Now, how long was Caden able to be with you?
He was with us for 12 days. On the 12th day, the ECMO machine that was keeping him alive for some reason quit working, and no one knows why. And he fought as long as he could, but it was just too much of a shock for his little body, because the ECMO machine was doing all of the work for him. It was taking the blood out of his body, oxygenating it, and then putting it back into his body. So, you know, slowly his organs started shutting down, and by that afternoon we had to make the decision of whether we were doing things for him or to him.
Sure.
And we decided to let him go that night.
Yeah, and since then you've dedicated your life through Caden's Carnival to do more research and to educate people, really. And there is an event this weekend for that.
Yes, there's a wonderful event this weekend, Caden's Carnival. It's Sunday at the Knights of Columbus from 1 to 5, and we are raising money for this research because I do not want other children, other babies, other families to go through this. And we are promoting awareness. There's already a family that commented on your story last night that they're delivering in St. Louis in December, and they were thrilled to hear a survivor story that you did last night. So there's lots of families in this area being impacted. It's important to have awareness so they feel that they're not alone. It's important to have research so that more than 50% of these babies survive. But Caden's Carnival is a wonderful family event. Lots of things for the kids to do. Horseback rides, bounce house, inflatable iceberg challenge that everyone seems to love. All kinds of things.
Costume contests. My kids already have their costumes lined up. So yes, don't forget, there's a costume contest. Come dressed up. I do want to also add, you guys do this for 2 years now. This is your third year, but you guys have raised just almost $25,000 for CDH research.
That's right.
So we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Come on out this weekend. We'll be back right after this.